All right, we're almost there, almost game time. I can't believe it's already week 3.
Yeah, short week, kind of flying by. Game in a few days.
Yeah, it really sneaks up on you. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We have a lot to get to today. Of course, we'll talk a little Carson Wentz. I said it again. We'll talk about him a little bit later because that's obviously a big matchup in this game. But we want to talk about the Eagles first. And specifically, we want to start with the offense. And, the last podcast was just really about Jalen Hurts and the improvement we saw from him and what we might see going forward. But this whole offense has a ton of potential.
Yeah, and, you look at an offense, and if you're a defensive coordinator, you're like, all right, where are the weaknesses? Well, there really aren't any. On this offense, you have two, I think, elite starting receivers. You have an elite slot receiver or third receiver. The running backs, I think one of the best in the league is when he's healthy, which I think if he can put together like 8 straight healthy games, that we can stop saying that, but that's been his history. And then 2 other running backs that are really good in Boston and Gainwell, a top 3, maybe tight end,
possibly
top 3 tight end. I think we've always said top 5, I think top 3, and the best O-line in football. And so it was always kind of like, well, if Jalen this, if Jalen that, and it's only 2 games, but the Jalen Hurts we've seen so far and really throughout the summer and the preseason game when he played against the Jets, it was only a few snaps, but we've seen a guy who's just really electrifying and efficient and explosive and dual threat. How do you defend this offense? And they're versatile. They can attack you in a lot of different ways. 23 first downs rushing and 25 passing is really interesting. There's not a lot of teams that have that kind of balance. And one thing I really like about Shane Steichen as a play caller is, we've seen so many coaches around here abandon the run. Hey, we're throwing the ball, we're going to abandon the run. Even when they're making plays in the passing game, Shane Steichen is going to run the ball. And I think we've seen enough of him as a play caller to understand that. And I like that. I mean, with this personnel, why wouldn't you? Why would you abandon the run? So there's a lot going for this group. They've got to do it consistently and do it over a period of weeks. Scoreless second half Monday night, not ideal. Penalties have been a problem. Some of the same ones creeping up. Those illegal man downfield, that's something they've got to clean up if they're going to run RPOs. But it's a dangerous offense, and they can hurt you a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, even though we're just 2 games in, we've kind of already seen all the different ways and the different things they can do. We've seen them have success through the air at every level on both sides of the field and in the middle. We've seen them throw the tight ends, the receivers. We haven't seen them throw a ton to the running backs just yet, but they had that potential, certainly. We've seen the offense.
And when they have, it hasn't gone well.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, I went back and watched that Gainwell pick. There was room there. So I think, and with how athletic the offensive line is, I think there's the opportunity for that.
Sure.
We've seen them use tempo. We've seen them slow it down. Shane Steichen's been really impressive through 2 games. He seems to have a knack for this. And in the second year, we talked so much about Jalen in the second year. Shane Steichen having control of the play calling and Nick having control of the offense for the second year, it might mean just as much.
Yeah, I think that could be true. And Shane did become the play caller halfway through last year, but this year he had an entire off season knowing he's a play caller. And I think everything's different when that's the case. You're going about your job in a different way. And he's got a real flair for it, and he's got a flair for keeping defenses off balance, for being unpredictable, for using different personnel groups and different players. Uses everybody who's dressed pretty much is out there at some point. And I think, what did Jalen complete passes to 8 receivers on Monday night? 4 guys had between 60 and 80 yards, 82 yards. I really like what we've seen from Shane. And so far, everything he's done has worked. And it's a really dynamic offense, and he seems to get the possibilities of it. And it's hard.
A lot of fun to watch.
It is.
Because think about this. If you say, let me say you're the defensive coordinator of an opposing team. what do you do? I mean, it's seriously, if you're game planning, what's your first move?
Well, I mean, we've seen, week one, Jalen got blitzed a lot and beat it with his legs. And week two, drop back and he's picking you apart in the middle of the field. I don't think there's any one thing. I would just mix it up and try to, mix up the looks. And I mean, Donatel never did that.
Yeah, it was a very stagnant game plan.
Yeah, it was. I would mix things up.
I felt like I was watching Gannon's defense from last year.
I would change things up, mix things, and just try. I mean, Jalen Hurts is still a young quarterback who's made 21 starts in his career, and there's things he hasn't seen. And I would try to confuse him and try to hit him with changing looks and everything. But his recognition seems to be a lot better.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like on some level, it's like, yeah, maybe you blitz him and you force him into mistakes. Hasn't made him. All right, now you drop back and you say, beat us with your arm. We're going to drop and we're going to make sure you don't run on us. We're going to make you beat us with your throwing ability. They did that. I mean, I guess it starts with, if you're putting a game plan together against this team, you have to control Jalen's runs and you have to stop A.J. Brown. The problem is if you do those two things, then you're weaker in other spots and you have Devontae Smith and you have Dallas Goedert, you have Quez Watkins. All of a sudden, it's like those guys can take over a game. I mean, the top of that list for me would still be Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's just a nightmare of a mismatch for a lot of teams. But Devontae can certainly do it too. And then you have Quez as the deep shot guy. And I like that Quez is going to get a chance to play outside more because you have A.J. Brown now who makes sense inside. Whereas last year, you had Rager who didn't, we don't need to go down that road. But it changes the dynamic quite a bit.
Where's he now? Is he still in the league?
He is.
The revenge tour. Yeah. And then in the, the whole thing doesn't work if you don't have a good offensive line, and they have one of the best. And, and they're, I mean, knock on wood, they're all healthy. I mean, I think having Sayamalo back really makes that line just so solid.
Have you thought about Sayamalo once since he's been here back? Only the one time he had the penalty.
Yeah, that one time. But no, he's
been solid.
Yeah, he's been really good. It's a big upgrade, right guard. And look, this time last year, Dickerson hadn't even played a snap at left. I think he played week 2 at right guard in the middle of the game, started at right guard week 3, and then started at left guard week 4, I think. So he hadn't even played left guard yet in the NFL. And he's so far ahead of where he was. So there's no weakness. There's no discernible weakness. And if they're efficient and healthy and don't turn the ball over, they're going to be very difficult to stop.
Yeah. And look, we know it still hinges on Jalen Hurts. He's had one great game.
Right.
2 good games. Week 1
Well, one good game and one great game.
Well, they both hit the –
No. A great game is not a good game. It's better than – it's you can't say he had 2 good games and 1 great game and they've only played 2 games.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
It's a great game is a good game.
You could say
it's like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square.
It's not like that at all. But you could say he's been good or better in both games. Sure. You can say he's been good in both games.
Good plus.
Good, no, because great disqualifies good from being a factor.
Good plus.
Because then we say he's been bad in both games. Well, because he's been better than bad.
What?
Well, it goes bad, average, good, great. So you can't say he's been good in both games.
No, it goes Garrett Gilbert. Garrett Gilbert's the bottom, or Ben DiNucci. Was that his name?
Yeah.
That's below bad.
He's on the Cowboys practice squad.
Might need him.
He hasn't played since this game here.
Yeah.
This game
against the Eagles. Probably might be his last.
That was not pretty. Anyway. What the hell were we talking about? How the offense. Yeah. Look, we talk about consistency with Jalen all the time, but we saw a level of play Monday night that we've never seen from him. And if he can do it once, and look, that's not one of the better defenses in the league. It's not the Vikings defense. It's not the purple people eaters of yore. Alan Page isn't out there, but to see him play at that level, it kind of raises the expectation of what a typical Jalen Hurts game would be.
Yeah.
You think I mean, I think I predicted him completing 64% of his passes from 61. I could see him being in the 67 range after
Sure.
after
I think
that,
that's and sometimes the numbers don't even
because he's throwing balls
matter.
away. Sure.
Yeah, like in the first game, he was like running out of bounds and chucking the ball on the sideline. In this one,
Unintentionally grounding.
yeah, his best throw might have been an incompletion.
Got it.
Another decent throw was a pick. So,
yeah,
I agree with you, though. Over a course of a 17-game season, it kind of balances out a little.
Yeah. And
some good catches are going to be made on balls that were bad.
Right. That's true. Yeah, and his ability, but I mean, the thing that blew my mind was his ability to see the whole field. And you showed that shot chart. I mean, for him to use the whole field, he's never done that.
You know how many times I've watched that throw to Quez Watkins?
Oh, the one that got negated?
Yeah. Can't stop watching it.
That one killed me because that was my bold prediction was he was going to be the Eagles receiving leader. That was one penalty away.
That one was, he's running left, he throws across his body, but he's had other ones where one earlier in that game, I think it was one of the first drives, he rolled right, still had to throw across his body.
Yeah.
I mean, those are hard throws, and those are the type of throws where, if people were questioning his arm strength, watch them.
We've always said that was not the issue.
Yeah, but sometimes his mechanics would kind of lead to that. Yeah. I mean, if he can figure that stuff out, man,
And it's not going to stop here. He's going to keep getting better.
Yeah, and it might not be linear. I mean, it doesn't mean like every game he's going to get better, and by the end of the season he's Mahomes. That's not how this works. But I think there are going to be some dips in production.
Sure.
There are going to be some bad games. There are going to be some bad throws. There are going to be some moments where he looks like the Jalen Hurts from last year that you questioned whether or not he was the guy. The important thing is that when the end of the season comes and you look at the guy climbing up the mountain, maybe there were some dips in there, but he's much higher than where he started.
That's one of Nick's metaphors. Like he likes to use mountain.
Have I been spending too much time with Nick?
Yeah, you might have.
If I start talking about flowers and dog mentality, kick me out of here.
Yeah. Dave's after the break, Dave is going to explain his core values to everyone.
My core values is one, no core values.
That's good thing to live by. But yeah, it's an exciting offense. And I was looking at like some of the records, like for, yards per game, points per game. I mean, they're among the top. Look, it's only 2 games, but they're averaging 470 yards. Nobody else is averaging more than 430. I don't know how you stop them. What would you do? You're DC.
I said it. I would try to control Hurts' legs. I'd try to make him beat me with his arm until he shows consistently that he's going to play the way he did last week, and I'd take away A.J. Brown as best I can. Maybe not double him, but I'd certainly bracket him. I'd give help.
There was speculation that, and I think the Vikings tried spying him a couple times early with Eric Kendricks. I mean, Eric Kendricks at one point in his career was probably pretty fast. But
you can't spy him with a linebacker.
You can't spy him with a linebacker. And then, you can use a 34-year-old safety to spy him. That was the other. So it's going to take a pretty special. I think you could do it if some team has one of those Deion Jones, like hybrid linebacker safety players. Yeah.
There are certain teams in the league who have a player like that.
Yeah. But now you're taking that out of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And, if he's diagnosing things the way he did Monday night, I'm not sure that's the place you want to be.
You know what I wanted to mention, and we talked about it a little bit, but I have some numbers to back it up now. His running style, because he is elusive. He's great at making guys miss with cuts. He runs so freaking strong, and it's really him and Josh Allen in the league who run like that.
Yeah.
After contact, and there just aren't many quarterbacks like that. Think about the other running quarterbacks in the league. Lamar's great, but he's not doing that. Kyler runs funny, and he's not doing that. Who else? Like, no one else runs like that. That you're worried about the quarterback dragging a corner for 5 yards.
The guy in Cleveland?
Oh, he's not playing.
No, but I mean, he's in the league a little bit.
Yeah, but even like, I think him as more like getting out of situations.
Yeah, maybe. maybe. No, he's a unique
And
talent.
look, you hold your breath when
Yeah.
Jalen lowers his shoulder. But listen to this. So through 2 weeks, he has 105 rushing yards after contact. That's 12th in the NFL among all players. All players.
Right.
It's first among quarterbacks. The next closest is Josh Allen. He has 45.
So he's got twice, more than twice.
More than twice. More than double. And that's probably the gap there is going to narrow, I'm sure, as the year goes on. But that tells you what this dude's doing. That 26-yard touchdown run, I've watched that quite a bit too, because it looked like he's going to run out of bounds, and then he kind of realizes, I got a block in front of me. I'm going to go for it. Then I took a screen grab out of it. There's one moment, his back is turned. His back, he is facing
away
the far
from the end
side
zone.
of the field. His back is turned.
That was like at the 2-yard line.
5. It was at the 5-yard line.
Okay.
4 or 5-yard line. His back is literally looking at the end zone.
How can a back look at the end zone?
The end zone's looking at the back.
Okay.
That's not any better. Neither have eyes. But you agreed with that one, but not his back. There's one guy on him, 4 purple jerseys around him.
Keeps moving his legs.
He's so strong, legs turning, power lifter. That's where we see that functional strength.
There were like 3 times in that play. I love that play. There was like 3 times in that play I thought it was over.
It's amazing. Sometimes you see like his linemen. I think it takes a while for linemen to like get used to that, because there'll be a play, like even the shorter touchdown run, they're like watching like, we should probably push him through. Like the play's not dead. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's very creative that way.
And you ask him about it. He goes, I was just trying to make a play.
He was asked about the 15-yard or the 26-yard touchdown. He said, just playing football.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, but were you thinking about going out of bounds at the 15?
Trying to make a play.
What made you change your mind? Just playing football. His interviews are the polar opposite of his play.
That's funny. That's true. It's also like, you ever I always thought this, like the fastest players I've covered, like just speed, are the slowest walkers.
I never noticed that.
You ever notice that? Just like
Jalen's a slow walker.
Mm-hmm.
Vic was a slow walker.
Yeah, there's something to it.
Who has a slow walker? John Hightower. How fast does he walk?
I haven't seen him in a while.
No, I guess I don't know why. I don't know where he's been.
Deshaun?
Was Deshaun a slow walker?
Yeah, he was. It was saunter.
Yeah, interesting. You might have a trend story there.
the dumbest story. I mean, I've written some dumb stories.
Oh no.
What's the dumbest story I've ever written?
Well, I mean, dumb's relative. I mean, you did go interview a goat.
True.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today. And you interviewed players about the coin toss.
I did. I forgot about that one.
That was a good one.
The Eagles had won like 7 coin tosses in a row.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. It's worth a story.
It might have been the last time I interviewed Derek Barnett. 2018 season.
Yeah. Found something he was good at. Calling heads.
Tails never fails, I think, was this call.
There you go.
Let's talk about this game a little bit.
Sure.
Trap game?
Yeah, I'm not sure I really buy the trap game philosophy. I think it's a very focused team, and I don't think that would happen. But I think it's a dangerous game just because it's a short week. It's on the road. It's a division game. And Washington does some things really well. And their
roster's not bad.
Their roster's not bad. They've got weapons. Their quarterback is hot right now. I mean, he's still Carson, and he's going to make these, once in a while, he'll make a ridiculous play. That's going to cost them points, cost them the ball. But he's got 7 touchdowns in 2 games and a lot of
650 yards
thrown for 320 and 335, whatever. He's making
also
plays.
3 picks
and 3 picks. He's among the league leaders in everything.
Yeah.
And he fumbled the ball out of the end zone. So he's Carson. He's just going to make a lot of plays, but he's also going to, at some point, he's going to do something that Eagles fans are going to be like, that's why, that's why he's Carson.
Let's stay on this, though, before we get into the other matchups. We had a chance to hear from Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Said all the right things.
Yeah.
For the most part. He did admit at one point he could have been a better person and a better teammate when he was here, but I think that was just something he said before, and I'll say it again.
Right.
He says, who do you think has more motivation in this game? Him, his former teammates here, or Jalen Hurts?
I mean, I don't think Jalen Hurts thinks like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the players in the locker room don't care. I think Carson does. I think he does care.
How would you not?
How would you not?
Even if it's not like revenge. Like I don't think it has to be revenge, but I think it's like, no, I want to show my former team that I'm still a good player, and I want to beat my former teammates. Even if you like them, you still want to beat them.
I mean, the guy who benched him isn't here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
His staff isn't here anymore. They almost beat him, but so it's. I mean, I'm going to show Doug. I'm going to show Doug he shouldn't have benched me, but I think it's natural. I mean, I think it's natural.
Any player who plays their former team feels a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, unless it's like a bunch of years away, but
yeah, like maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick at the end. It's like I've played for every team.
Yeah, get fired up for every opponent. No, I don't know. Like say. I don't know. There's not a lot of free agents on this team. So there's not a lot of, I mean, does Jake Elliott get fired up to play the Colts? Like he was in one training camp with them. No, the Bengals, yeah. Not the Colts. Bengals. See, I don't even remember. So yeah. And I think this team is not wired that way. I think this team is really focused. And I think that's something that Sirianni's really, really good at. Not letting any of that stuff affect their preparation and just worrying about the task at hand. But I do think Carson's a very emotional guy. I think we know that. And I'm sure he's got this one circled on his calendar.
You would think so.
And he's playing well. I mean, overall well.
And I know some fans are like, they want to hear about Wentz, and some fans are like, he's another quarterback. I don't want to hear about it. To me, it's just still a crazy story. Sure. I mean, he was not just some former Eagle.
They don't win the Super Bowl if he doesn't play the way he did the first two thirds.
And it's like more than that to me. They've had other franchise quarterbacks before, right? Like McNabb is
not that many.
In recent history, McNabb's the top one, right?
Yeah.
You can argue that they put more stock into Wentz. Like how much went into drafting him.
They're both the second pick.
Both the second pick, but Wentz was so good so quick. Year two, he's arguably playing at MVP level. Might have been the league MVP if he stayed healthy. They win the Super Bowl. He plays well the next 2 years. Not to that same level, but plays well. $100 million contract. And to just see it evaporate the way it did, it still feels a little surreal. And to see his career just kind of come off the rails like this.
Yeah. No, it's a strange story. I mean, I just think that when the Eagles drafted Hurts, it was over. I just think I don't know if fragile is probably too strong a word to describe Carson's psyche, but it got to him, it affected him, and he was never the same. He hasn't been the same. And I think the injuries are part of it too. He doesn't move like he used to. He's 30 now.
It's crazy.
He's one of the older starting quarterbacks in the league, which is nuts. But
it's always the whole story has always been wild to me because they won a Super Bowl while he was here. So you can to me that pick was still a success.
I would agree with that
because I don't think they win it without him.
He was so good that year.
But the overwhelming thought about him in this city is always to me going to be what could have been.
He was so good that Super Bowl year. I think it was like from week 3 until he got hurt. I think was week 2 of the Chiefs game. I believe they lost week 2. 17 team from week 3 until he got hurt. I mean, I think I wrote a story about it. That's like the best quarterback play I've ever seen over a period of like a couple months from an Eagles quarterback.
I went back and found a column I wrote. I said he was going to become the most popular athlete in the city's history. And I don't think it was a stretch.
It could still happen.
I don't think it's going to happen now. I look back at that. I don't think that was a stretch.
Well, who is the most popular athlete in the city's history? Allen,
Doc.
Doc's a lot less divisive than Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, everyone likes Doc.
Yeah,
there's not many of the star athletes that everyone likes in this city.
Yeah.
Very few of them. Whether it's Lindros or Allen or Barkley. But anyway, we're a little off the topic. But it went bad so fast. Yeah. It's one of the stranger stories we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's get into the game a little bit. We talked about Carson a little bit. I think it's going to be really incumbent on, and I want to talk about Gannon a little bit, but Gannon's got to have the right game plan to force Wentz into some of those mistakes because he'll make them. We know he'll make those mistakes. How about the receivers here? Because in the last couple of years, it was really, if you stop Terry McLaurin, you stop their passing attack. Not the case right now. They have Dotson, they have Curtis Samuel, they have a pretty good tight end. Like, they're a much better and more balanced passing attack than they were in recent years.
Oh, definitely. Dotson, I think he got 3 touchdowns already.
Mm-hmm.
He's been.
They're scheming Curtis Samuel open. Like, he's getting screens. He's quick pitches. Like, they're finding ways to get him the ball.
Yeah. I think it's a game you have to pressure Carson, and I mean, I like what I saw from. I thought pressure improved a good couple gears from the opener, but again, you're on the road, and it's a different animal. Pressuring on the road is a different animal than pressuring at home. So,
although it might feel like a home game,
it might. Although early in the season, I think there'll still be a higher percentage of
we'll see.
Washington fans. I could be wrong. They might have all given up already. But that's huge. You'd like to see Reddick show up with some pressures and just build on what they did Monday night. I think that's the biggest key. You got to love the way the secondary played. And, I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with each week is going to get, more and more comfortable. I think we saw progression there with him.
Yeah, I think it was going to take some time. It was probably unfair to think he was going to come in and be a star.
He said he didn't need any time. But everyone does.
And he should have that mindset, but he needed time, and he still needs time.
The one thing they haven't done is run the ball. Gibson has not run the ball.
Yes.
Washington. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on because, if they're one dimensional, it's going to play into the Eagles' hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their long gain, I think, was an end around 21 yards, but Gibson's long gain is 13.
And their line's a little banged up. They just lost their starting center. Chase Roulier's out.
They did. Yeah. My thinking is you put Slay on McLaurin, and you got a pretty good advantage.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to do, I would imagine. They've done that. I mean, and Slay, when he got here, he was asked about McLaurin because McLaurin gave him trouble in, what was that, in 19. That was McLaurin's rookie year. Slay was still in Detroit.
Yeah.
It was one of the tougher games Slay had that season.
Right.
In the 4 games, I actually have the numbers in front of me. In the 4 games since then, 2 catches, 28 yards, 1 catch, 3 yards, 2 catches, 51 yards, 2 catches, 20 yards.
Wow.
Slay's really locked him.
Slay's playing at such a level, like just all-time great Troy Vincent, Eric Allen type level, Asante. Man, if he can keep
Bradley.
it up. What's that?
I had Bradley Fletcher to your.
I thought you were saying Bill Bradley. I'm like, well, he was a safety. So I'm wired to the old guys. But
I was just trying to think of Leotis. Could have gone
Leotis McKelvin.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure he measures up. But yeah.
That's where you start. And then you have him travel side to side. It's going to take a little group effort against Curtis Samuel because they're finding ways to get in the ball, but a lot of that's going to fall on Avante as the nickel.
Yeah.
And that means, that does give a little tough matchup to Bradbury because he's got to match the pure speed of Dotson.
Right.
Is it as easy as Slay travels? Because Slay has more speed than Bradbury. At times, would you want Slay on that speed from Dotson?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he's a young guy. I'm just looking how many. He's got 7 for 99. He's got 3 touchdowns. I would start out with Slay on McLaurin.
Yeah.
I think you got to trust Bradbury to be able to cover a guy playing his 3rd NFL game.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
One thing that I think is so huge, they tackled so much better. I didn't look up the I should look up the missed tackles. They had a couple.
12.
They had 12 missed tackles?
So PFF credited.
Monday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes a missed tackle is like, there'll be a missed tackle and then it's just cleaned up.
Yeah, and I thought they got numbers to the ball a lot better.
Yeah.
So those missed tackles didn't end up as big plays. But yeah, if they can shut down Gibson and have Slay and McLaurin, I think that's a really good start.
Yeah. How about on the other side of the ball? Washington's defensive tackles are pretty good. You have Jonathan Allen, who might be their best player, and Deron Payne. So you have 2 Alabama guys in the middle. I still feel pretty good about the Eagles there.
Yeah, we're talking to Miles today about this team's ability to run when teams know they're going to run, which is just a reflection of the O-line and the talented backs they have. But even late in games, when teams are crowding the box, they're able to run the ball.
Yeah.
And that's such a weapon when you can keep that clock moving, knock out a couple first downs.
I mean, that 4-minute drive at the end of Detroit was the perfect example.
And they needed it because if they didn't convert, game's over. They're losing that game, and they're 1-1 right now. We're not talking about the best offense ever or whatever, but this team's ability to run the ball, and like we talked about earlier, Shane's commitment to it is huge. And I think you can run on Washington. They've given up 2 50-yard runs, but they've given up 7.5 yards per carry, which is a little deceiving because 100 of those yards are on 2 plays, and one was an end around. I think Amon-Ra had a 50.
It's still a crazy high number.
It's the highest since 1951.
The Eagles are actually second in the league.
That's actually, 6.5.
6.2.
I think 6.2, whatever. Yeah. But it's the highest since the 19 and DeAndre Swift has a hand in both those numbers.
He does,
with a long run against both those teams. But highest since the 1951 Yanks. It weren't the Yankees, they were the Yanks that year, and they allowed like 11.
They were just the Yanks?
I believe that was one of the years they were the Yanks.
I didn't even know that that happened.
Yeah, so they allowed 11 something their first 2 games, but they do have good players on defense, and Ron Rivera is a good coach. But I think the Eagles can score some points on this team.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The corners are pretty good. Fuller's good, but the Eagles are going to go into basically every matchup this year thinking they have an advantage with their receivers against whatever corners the other team has. Yeah.
And that they can run the ball. And they can do both and keep teams off balance. So I didn't do my pick yet. I'll do that tonight. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think they can score some points. I think they'll be in the 30s.
Yeah. I see no reason not to. I mean, sometimes the division games are weird. We saw last year, Washington's not a bad team. And that's what I want to stress here. They came to the link last year with Garrett Gilbert and gave the Eagles a fight. So it's not like this is going to be a rollover situation.
Garrett Gilbert, was that 27-17 game? Something like that.
Yeah. It was close for a while. That was the game that got moved to Tuesday.
Right. Eagles. That was the best the Eagles have ever played on a Tuesday.
Yeah. It was a low bar.
Yeah, a lot of Joe Webb stories that week. But
that was the week they moved the game to Tuesday because of COVID. Didn't get either of their starting quarterbacks back because they moved it and we thought that would happen. They still had to start Garrett Gilbert. Then I got COVID that week, probably from being around all that.
I remember that. That's when you found out in the media workroom, right?
Yeah, on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, we're sitting there and I hear Dave sits across from me. I'm here. I can't say that, but
yeah, you can fill in the blank there.
Yeah.
Miss Christmas.
I'm still not sure how I tested negative after sitting next to you like for that whole week.
Yeah, it's weird.
But anyway. Fun game.
I wanted to finish this with a little Gannon talk. We talked about him and just how masterful really that game plan was against the Vikings. that has to be a template going forward. And I know that every offense isn't the Vikings offense. They're not going to play Kirk Cousins every week. But do you think that game showed him that he has the personnel to be more aggressive on a week-by-week basis?
I hope so. I think so.
And look, aggressive doesn't mean they have to send the house all the time. It doesn't mean everything's in man. But a little bit more of that. You have the personnel. You have enough talent to do that, to kind of dictate what you want to do. So much of what they did last year was passive and it was reactionary. It was like, well, we want to stop them beating us deep, so we're going to let them have everything underneath. And there's some validity to that, but at a certain point, you have to dictate what you want to have.
Well, I think it made more sense last year than this year. I think you could justify it last year with their personnel. I think that might have been their best chance in a lot of games.
Well, we don't know because they never tried anything else. But
this year, certainly the approach he had Monday night. And why wouldn't he look at that and say, this went really well?
And they're facing a bunch of Kirk Cousins this year. Right? Like, think about the quarterbacks they're facing. There aren't a lot of world beaters.
No.
They play Rodgers in week 12. Obviously, a different.
Cousins is one of the better ones they play.
Yeah. Cousins, Wentz, Lawrence.
They'll play Dak at least
Kyler,
once.
who you have to change your game plan a little bit because he has the mobility. But Dak probably won't be back. You're seeing Cooper Rush in that game, I'm guessing.
Dak will be back for the second
one.
Yeah. Although Jerry keeps talking about Dak might be back in 2 weeks.
I don't know if Jerry knows where he's at right now.
Jerry says some weird things.
You know what's funny? I listened to Jerry, and he seemed worried about Jalen Hurts on his weekly radio spot, which is really funny that the owner has a weekly radio spot.
It's incredible. Jeff Lurie talks once a year.
Yeah.
When's the last time, other than the owners' meetings?
The last few years, he
hasn't done like
He talked when they fired Doug.
Talk when they hired Nick.
But didn't answer questions, just gave the longest rambling open ever.
Oh, remember that?
And then threw it to Nick.
Yeah.
Who was getting more nervous by the second.
I talked to him about Billy Preston at training camp. Yeah. And Sly and the Family Stone.
You didn't talk about the division quarterbacks, do you?
He did not. How many? Jerry talks after every game too.
Every game, he delivered. I mean, I think he might have delivered the news about Dak's injury before Dak knew.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was before Dak knew, but yeah,
it had to be close.
It was, yeah.
I mean, I feel like it was like right after the game ended.
He
was already saying it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Different way. Yeah. Defense. I want to see it. I want to see them challenge. Just for the entertainment of it too. I mean, I enjoyed watching the defense play on Monday night.
Yeah.
When's the last time you enjoyed watching that defense play?
They had some really good games last year, late in the season.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun like that.
They held 5 straight teams to 18 or fewer points.
It wasn't fun
down the stretch. Yeah, it was.
It wasn't as fun as that.
No, it wasn't as fun as that. I mean, the Detroit game, the way they played against the Jets and the Giants and Washington, and they had some really good games last year, but it felt different this year.
Yeah, it felt,
and they've got to build on it.
It felt like last year they played well defensively because the teams they were playing stunk. And I know there's no way to quantify it. It felt like this game was good because they were good.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Hope we see more of it.
Yeah, I think we will.
You got anything else?
No.
So this is your first chance to miss a trip to FedEx. I know it's a little weird for you to not travel in the games. This one's got to feel okay.
No, it's weird. I mean, I'm doing pregame, postgame, and I love it. And I love working with Jaws and Barrett and Michael and Mike Mulhern, who produces, and he's the best producer. But it's weird not being there.
I'm going to ask you when I'm about to drive home from FedEx.
I know.
If you're still feeling the same way. That place was a dump.
It's a dump. But I just love being at the games.
I know.
I love being at the games.
But that place stinks.
And it was always fun taking the train down.
Opportunity to tell you how much it stinks.
It's always fun taking the train down.
Yeah, you can't really do it anymore.
Can't do it anymore.
There aren't really trains.
Amtrak cut their schedule.
Yeah.
Come on, Amtrak. Get it together. But yeah, it's hard. It's different.
Can I tell
yeah.
One, I'm not going to tell the one from New Carrollton. I'll tell the one. You and I were on the train one time, and the Eagles brass, like even when they bust down, the Eagles brass would take the train down. So we're on the train, and we see, who was it? It was, I guess, Joe at that point. Howie, Joe, maybe Andy Weidel, a few other front office
Yeah.
folks. Howie sees us and goes, and you go, hey, Howie, got a seat right here.
Right next to me. Can I tell the New Carrollton story real quick?
Yeah.
All right. So the Eagles took the train down. I don't know. It was like 2019, maybe 18, 19. New Carrollton train station is suburban Washington. It's the closest to FedEx Field, and Amtrak stops there. So the Eagles had when they take the train, they get off at New Carrollton, and they have buses there to take them to the stadium. We took the train down, and the New Carrollton train station is different. There's no benches. There's no waiting area. There's nowhere to sit.
Yeah, it's weird.
You go in. There's this dank concrete corridor with fluorescent lights, and some escalators up to the platform, and that's it. That's the station. And so I Uber from FedEx to. I had a train. I had like an 8:30 train. I don't know what time the train was. It doesn't matter. But I get there and there's nowhere to sit. And I had work to do, and I had like 40 minutes till the train. So I'm sitting on this concrete floor with my back against the wall, with my suit on, or my blazer, my shirt's untucked. I'm more ruffled than usual, and I'm sitting on the ground in this concrete corridor, typing on this laptop, looking for all the world like a homeless person. And all of a sudden, I hear this big commotion outside, and there's all this noise and people, and it's really loud. I'm like, what is going on? I had forgotten the Eagles have a charter Amtrak that's going to take them back to 30th Street Station. And all of a sudden, here come the Eagles players walking past me down this corridor, and there's Jeff Lurie, and he sees me. He goes, oh, Reuben, I didn't realize it had gotten this bad. And he reaches into his pocket and like takes out a couple $1 bills, and he's like, pretends to hand them to me. He took them back before I could get them.
It's a good joke,
but it was very good from him.
A good joke.
Yeah, it was good. I think Kelsey and Fletch made some comments too, if I remember about my situation. But anyway, yeah.
All right.
The wisdom of Jeff Lurie.
I think we'll probably end it.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
40 years ago today, my first day as a sports writer.
Wow.
September 22nd, 1982. At the Gloucester County Times in Woodbury, New Jersey.
What was your first assignment?
First assignment was Kingsway Clearview hockey game. And they didn't tell me it was field hockey. And I was looking for the ice rink at Clearview High School, true story, Kingsway High School. And then, and the AD drives by in a golf cart. He's like, what are you doing? What are you looking for? I'm like, I'm looking for the ice hockey rink. He's like, you idiot. It was Tony Barchuk, who was the football coach there for like 30 years. It's like, it's field hockey. And it was a scoreless tie. Oof. And I had to write, 800
That's
words.
One of those where you go, what happened? To your question after the game.
So that was my first 40 years ago today.
All right, if you enjoyed the Eagle Eye Podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. We'll talk to you guys after the game on Sunday. That's it for Rube. I'm Dave. We'll talk soon.